in between protein and amino acid, we have a structure that is known as a peptide. And remember that peptides are also biologically active. It's not always necessary that a amino acid has to go to the level of a protein to attain activity. There are certain biologically active peptides that are also present in our system. Then the third objective of discussing about this topic is that how the proteins go through different organizations to become finally conformationally strong and active. The graph given at the bottom here is indicating that if you do serum electrophoresis, we get number of bands, and the major band contributes to albumin. So albumin is one of the major protein that is present inside our blood, or in our blood, or in our plasma, or in our serum. Then we have alpha bands, which mainly correspond to alpha-1 antitrypsin, and there are two important proteins which are present in the alpha band. One is an alpha-1 antitrypsin, and another is alpha-2 macroglobulin. Now, these two proteins, they are an indicator of some sort of inflammation in your system. So they are known as like acute phase proteins. We call them as acute phase proteins. Then we have a beta band. There some beta proteins are there. You will be discussing it later on. What are these beta bands? And then we have a gamma one that corresponds to all the gamma proteins and specifically the immunoglobulins. So this is how the protein is distributed inside our system. We have number of proteins which are present in our body. They may be intracellular, they may be extracellular, both. Now, what are the different functions of the protein? Different functions of the protein include, number one, that it helps in the maintenance of the shape and the integrity. So it's the cytoskeleton of your cell. The main part of the cytoskeleton is a protein. Then we have actin and myosins doing the function of contractile protein. Then transport proteins like hemoglobin, and we have ferritin, we have transferrin, we have myoglobin. They transport number of components. Albumin itself is a transport protein because it transports number of metal ions. It transports number of drugs. So albumin is also one of the very important protein that does the function of a transporting. Then we have defense proteins. All your immunoglobulins, they are protecting your system. So they are the part of the defense proteins. All the enzymes, leaving a class of ribozymes, they are proteinaceous in nature. So these enzymes, they are proteins. They do all the metabolic processes of your cell. So protein has an important function of carrying out metabolism in your system. Then we have receptors. Receptors which are specifically present over the membrane, they are proteinaceous in nature. They may be glycated, they may be glycosylated, they may be attached to lipids, but basically they are proteins in nature. So most of the receptors present over the cell, over the membrane, they are proteins in nature. Then how do we classify them? Classification of a protein is based broadly on two basis. One is depending upon what is the structure of a protein, and second is what is the composition, what is making up a protein. So if we look at the structure, we have two main classes, a fibrous protein and a globular protein. A fibrous is a long, lengthened structural protein, and a globular protein is a globularized, rounded protein. Most of the proteins which are present in your circulation doing important functions are globular in nature, because whenever a globular protein is formed, it is formed in such a way that all the hydrophobic amino acids are buried inside. Hydrophilic amino acids, they are exposed. So the protein is present in a rounded conformation so that it could be able to interact with your aqueous nature of your plasma and could be carried, transported easily. Most of the structural proteins, they are fibrous in nature because they are lengthened in nature, they are extended in nature. Then in terms of composition, we have two classes. One is a simple protein, another is a conjugated one. When we say that a protein is a simple protein, this means that a protein is made up of only amino acids, like albumin. Albumin is made up of only 585 amino acids. No other component leaving amino acid is present in the structure of an albumin. So it's a simple protein. When we say a protein is conjugated, this means that along with amino acid, there must be some other component which is a non-amino acid part that is attached to the protein to make it structurally complete and functionally complete. Say a glycoprotein. Your immunoglobulins, they are glycoproteins. So they are proteins in nature, but functionally it is a conjugated protein. Collagen has glucose or galactose residues attached to it. Like for example, if we take a globular protein, albumin is a simple protein, but it's a globular protein. Hemoglobin is a globular protein, but it is a conjugated because it has iron in its structure. So iron is not an amino acid. So like way, depending on the structure and composition, we have a classification of protein. So it's not necessary that if we say it's a globular protein, we cannot talk about its composition. So both the properties can be simultaneously discussed. Now see how the shape of a globular protein looks like and what is the shape of a fibrous protein. This is an example that is given here. It's about an enzyme, carbonic anhydrase. So because carbonic anhydrase is an enzyme, it has to be present inside the cell. Cell's medium is aqueous. So here this enzyme would be carrying out all its function in such a way that the metabolism part would be carried out in the aqueous medium. So it's a globularized protein. All the amino acids which would be hydrophilic would be exposed outside. All the amino acids which would be hydrophobic in nature would be buried inside, hydrophilic outside, so that it would be able to survive and interact with the environment. Now this is the blue one is for collagen. Collagen is there to provide protection and shape to your system. It is present in the form of long elongated sheets. So here the burying of hydrophobic residues are not there. It's already so extended that the basic purpose is to provide strength to your system. Now if we talk about the organization of a protein, every protein, if it is a protein, it has to go up to tertiary level of organization. When we look for an organization of a protein, there are 4 steps. What are these 4 ones? The primary structure of a protein, the secondary structure of a protein, the tertiary and the quaternary. Primary is just the sequence of chain of amino acids joined by a peptide bond. When we talk of a secondary protein structure, it is the further folding of a protein in such a way that nearby amino acids, they come together. And the reason why they are coming together is an organized folding of a protein through the interaction of hydrogen bonds. And these hydrogen bonds, they are coming from the peptide structure. That R group or the functional group of amino acid has no contribution in the formation of secondary protein structure. So the hydrogen bonding that is formed is between the CO of first amino acid and NH of the fourth amino acid. Then we have the tertiary folding. Whenever there is a tertiary folding, there comes number of interactions contributed by the R group of amino acid, and this is a 3-dimensional folding where distant amino acids, jo duri par amino acids, and they are also coming together. So it may be a situation that an amino acid number 9 may be very close to amino acid that is in number 200 in the primary structure. So they may come very close to each other, and now the bonds that are contributed are by the R group. Now, if we talk about the quaternary protein structure, only that protein which is multimeric in nature. That is, if it is made up of more than one polypeptide, it could be dimeric, it could be trimeric, it could be tetrameric. That protein which is made up of more than one polypeptide will be allowed for the quaternary structure. Now here there is an interaction between the tertiary structures of different polypeptides. So that is a quaternary structure. So we can say that if we talk about a protein structure, it has 4 levels of organization: the primary structure, the secondary, the tertiary, and the quaternary. Now here the secondary structure is divided into 3 different types of organized defined structures, which are alpha helices, beta pleated sheets, and beta turns. Now look, what is the primary structure of a protein? As we said, that the primary structure of a protein is referring to just the sequence of amino acids linked together through a bond, that is a peptide bond. By convention, this primary structure starts from the free N terminus and ends in the free C terminus. So it's always read from N to C. So whenever you are naming a primary structure of protein, you are supposed to start from the N terminus, which is written on your left hand side, and go to the C terminus, which stops at your right hand side. Now look how the primary structure of a protein is formed. First thing is that we will call a protein if has more than 50 amino acids and it is a high molecular weight compound. Less than 50, you will name it as a peptide. So amino acid will go to a peptide. More than 50, you call it as a protein. Now, if you look at this structure, here this structure has R1, that is the first amino acid that is joined through a peptide bond to the second amino acid is alanine. Alanine is having just CH3 group as its functional group. Then alanine is joined to leucine. Leucine is joined to cysteine, an amino acid with an sulfur group, SH group, which is represented here as R3. And then we have methionine, another sulfur containing amino acid, but here the sulfur is buried between the 2 carbon atoms, that is the in brackets R4. Now, if you look here, the primary structure of a protein is just the sequence of amino acids which are bonded together through a peptide bond, which is a trans bond represented by C double bond ONH. Now, these C double bond ONH are going to contribute to the further folding of a protein to the secondary structure. R groups are projected outside. They are not involved in the formation of any bond till the primary and the secondary structure. Now here this amino acid would be read from N terminus, free amino end, to the C terminus towards your right hand side, the C terminus end, and you are going to name it starting from the alanine, because alanine is here at the N terminus. So it would be read as alanine. It would say here it's alanine, leucine, cysteine, and methionine. But whenever we are reading a peptide, we name it as, we add "-ile", alanyl, leucyl, cysteanyl, and the last one complete methionine. Alanyl, leucyl, cysteanyl, methionine. This is how we name it. Important thing to remember here is that the bond that is involved in the formation of a primary structure of a protein is just the peptide bond. No other bond is involved. There could be a possibility that 2 cysteine residues may be close together. They may contribute to the formation of a disulfide bond, but only if they are close together, then only. Now, at this level, when we talk of a primary structure of a protein, this part, we can say that only the peptides which are having just the primary structure of a protein may also attain functionality. Like you had amino acids with important functions, these specific class of peptides with important functions in your body, they are known as biologically active peptides. Now, these biologically active peptides, they are not proteins in nature because they are having very few amino acids. Like you need to remember 2-3 examples, and it's just ask name the biologically active peptides and the number of amino acids that are present there. So say for example, TRH is a releasing hormone. This is made up of 3 amino acids: glutamic acid, histidine, and proline. So this would be named as glutamyl histidine. So this is one of the example of a biologically active peptide. Now we have 2 more examples. One is antiphallin. Antiphallins, they are made up of, mostly in human system, they are made up of 5 amino acids. Then we have ADH and oxytocin. ADH is made up of 5 amino acids, antidiuretic hormone, and oxytocin is made up of 9 amino acids. So at this level, they are primary in structure, having very important function in your body. Still, they are not proteins in nature. Now moving on to the secondary organization. Important thing to remember here is this is not a random structure. The folding that are allowed and the twisting that are allowed are very organized. So angles are fixed here. Now if you look at the three structures as we have discussed, one is a beta plated sheet, another is an alpha helix, and then they have a beta pen. Beta pleated sheet is a very extended structure, and this again, if you look, the bond that is involved is between the CO and NH, and there are hydrogen bonds which are contributing to this pleated structure. And these hydrogen bonds, they are coming from the peptide bonds CO and NH. And these two bonds on a beta plated sheet, the hydrogen bonds that are contributing here in the folding and the formation of a beta plated sheet are a perpendicular or parallel to this backbone structure. Are they parallel or perpendicular? If you look at the hydrogen bonds that are present in this beta plated sheet, what do you observe here? Are they parallel to the backbone of the polypeptide or they perpendicular in nature? Perpendicular in nature. Now, if you look for the alpha helices, here there is a specific type of twisting. They are not exactly perpendicular in nature. Another difference here is that a beta plated sheet may form a hydrogen bond within one polypeptide, or they may form hydrogen bond between many polypeptides so that polypeptides may get stacked. But alpha helix, the hydrogen bond is always within the same polypeptide. So for a beta plated sheet, the hydrogen bonds coming from the peptide bond, they could be intra as well as intermolecular. But for an alpha helix, the hydrogen bonds are always within the same polypeptide chain. Now there is a small structure that is known as a beta pen. This as the name itself is indicating that this is helping to turn the polypeptide. So if you are joining 2 or 3 beta plated sheets, they connect these sheets from the top. If there is a twisting between the one polypeptide, again it may help to rotate the whole beta plated sheet. So if we look for one by one, say for example an alpha helix. An alpha helix is a coiled spiral structure stabilized by hydrogen bonding. This hydrogen bonding is always between the first amino acid and the fourth amino acid. And the fourth one is not always completely involved in forming one turn. So we can say that the number of amino acids per turn are not 4, rather it's 3.6. इसका मतलब ये होता है कि जो हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड बन रहा है वो पहले अमीनो एसिड और चौथे अमीनो एसिड के बीच में बनेगा, तो एक ट्विस्ट आ जाता है और हर दफा ये ट्विस्ट एक स्पेसिफिक एंगल पे होगा, तो ये कोई रैंडम स्ट्रक्चर नहीं है बल्कि बहुत ही फिक्स्ड ऑर्गेनाइज्ड स्ट्रक्चर है. So there are a number of examples of alpha helical proteins. A protein may go up to 90% alpha helix, like myoglobins. Myoglobins are almost 80 to 90% alpha helix in nature. Then if you look for a beta plated sheet, they are fully extended. They are stabilized by hydrogen bonds. And here we can say that if the organization of the beta plated sheet is such that they are running always from N to C terminals, we call them as parallel beta plated sheet, and they are stacked over each other. Now, if they are running from one from N to C, another from C to N, then they are known as anti-parallel in nature. The example of a parallel beta plated sheet is a flavonoxin, a protein. And an example of anti-parallel beta plated sheet is a cis-fibroin. The carbonyl anhydrase, which we represented there as a globular protein, has both parallel as well as anti-parallel structure. So here what you need to remember is that this is a secondary organization. An example of a secondary organization. hydrogen bonds are only there. These hydrogen bonds, they are coming from the peptide bond. You have two types of beta ketten sheet and parallel and anti-parallel. What type of bonds are there? See, if you look at this diagram, there is a turn that is present. This turn is actually the top one. This is a beta turn that we talked about, and this is made up of just 4 amino acids. This one. So what it does is that it immediately stabilizes the bend in the structure, so that the folding of a protein and globularization of a protein is enhanced at that level. And usually it involves the twisting of a protein, so the amino acids which induces the twist in a protein are proline and glycine. And therefore proline and glycine are not favorable for an alpha helix. They are there to reduce turns in the structure, and as we discussed, that alpha helix is very organized spiral structure. So if proline and glycine are there present in the protein, they are going to create kinks, bends in the structure. So the helices will be distorted slightly. Now primary structure going to secondary structure. Then in between the secondary and the tertiary structure, there are structures which are known as super secondary structures. Now what are these super secondary structures? They are nothing but the combination of number of secondary structures. Like you may have two alpha helices, a beta ketten sheet, an alpha helix, and again a beta ketten sheet. So the combination of many secondary structures form a super secondary structure. And then super secondary structures are organized to form number of folds. And these folds, they again accumulate and form a domain. And when we talk of domain, from this point starts the organization of a protein moving to the tertiary structure. So what are these domains? बस हमें अभी इतना ही याद रखना है, हमें सबसे बहुत डेप्थ में नहीं जाना है, बस हमें इतना याद रखना है कि सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर और टर्शियरी स्ट्रक्चर के बीच में कुछ और भी होता है जिसे हम सुपर सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर कहते हैं. वो फोल्ड्स बनाता है और फिर डोमेन बनाता है. दूसरी बात हमको ये याद रखनी है कि डोमेन इज द स्ट्रक्चर व्हिच gives a functionality to a protein, and domain has the capability of independent folding. It folds irrespective of a protein folding. Protein may start folding somewhere, and domain is independent folding inside a protein. And this gives you exactly what the protein is going to become functional for. Like for example, in your 11th and 12th standards, you must have gone through number of proteins which are very small proteins which are called as transcription factors. What they do? These transcription factors, they carry out the initiation or transcription or number of transcriptional processes. So they attach to a nucleic acid. How is it possible for a protein to go and identify a nucleic acid and start a process of transcription? This is done by specific domains. So a transcription factor has specific domain made up of super secondary structures and folds. A specific domain present in the transcriptional proteins, they are like, for example, you see zipper, zinc finger, and their purpose is that they identify the nucleic acid. They may identify your messenger RNA, they may identify a specific location at that point, and then the process is initiated. So that is what we mean by a domain. If you look at the tertiary structure of a protein, now here number of bonds are involved because this is a folding of a further folding of a secondary structure, so that now R group starts contributing. Now when the R group of an amino acids are starting to contribute, we have already known that the amino acids have different types of R groups. Some may have the capability of forming hydrogen bonds, like for example serine, threonine, they have OH groups, so they may form hydrogen bonds. Some may form ionic interactions like negatively charged and positively charged amino acids, glutamic acid, lysine, arginine, they are positively charged. Some may form the disulfides, distant, बहुत दूरी पर जो cysteines is, they may come close together. So in a tertiary structure, distant amino acids are coming close together, and in the secondary structure, nearby amino acids will come close. So the number of bonds that are stabilizing a tertiary structure are basically of 4 types: hydrogen bonds, ionic interactions, disulfide bonds, and hydrophobic interactions. Now the question may come into our minds that hydrogen bond was also there in the secondary structure in the alpha helix and the beta sheet. The difference is that these hydrogen bonds, they are organized and they are formed between the R groups. They are not coming from the peptide types. In the alpha helix and the beta sheets, the hydrogen bonds were contributed by the peptide and not from the R. So the R group contribution starts from the point where tertiary folding of the protein is initiated. So this is how the protein goes into folding from the primary to secondary to tertiary. Now, if your protein is made up of more than one polypeptide, you will call it as a multimeric protein. And when it is multimeric protein, every mer is a peptide. Dimer, दो peptide, trimer, तीन peptide. So every peptide has a tendency to go to the tertiary structure. So when these different tertiary structures they start to interact with each other, that gives rise to a quaternary structure of a protein. Like for example, when we talk of our hemoglobin, we write hemoglobin as alpha 2, beta 2, alpha 2, delta 2, alpha 2, gamma 2. alpha 2 का मतलब क्या होगा? 2 alpha, beta 2 मतलब 2 beta. इसका मतलब हमारे पास 4 polypeptides हैं. Every single polypeptide go to the tertiary organization. Every single polypeptide up to the tertiary organization will now interact with the rest of the other polypeptides to form the structure that is known as a quaternary structure of a protein. So a quaternary structure is nothing but the tertiary structures interacting together. So for a protein which is just made up of one polypeptide, quaternary structure is not possible. Now this is how the protein looks. Your hemoglobin will go up to a quaternary structure because it is having 4 polypeptides. Your myoglobin will stop at the level of a tertiary structure because this is just made up of just one polypeptide. So it is monomeric. Myoglobin is also a transport protein. It is that has the capability of carrying and binding oxygen. Hemoglobin, because it is a multimeric protein, every polypeptide is going to contribute. So the curve for hemoglobin would be cooperated because now there would be a cooperativity and interaction between these polypeptides. Myoglobin will not show that because it's just one polypeptide. Now these are how the levels of the protein are basically represented from primary to secondary to tertiary and then the quaternary. But remember, quaternary structure is not always possible. This will depend on how many polypeptides are being contributed to form a protein. It's not always necessary that a protein should be functional if it goes to tertiary only. We have just now discussed that there are different peptides which are still in their primary structure and they are fully functional in nature. Now, this part again could be discussed into a number of small questions as well as there could be 2-3 bigger questions carrying 5 to 6 marks. But the initial part of an amino acid and the classification of a protein is usually asked in the form of fill up the blanks or in the form of MCQs. Like for example, can we name a simple protein? Can anybody? Can we name a simple protein?
Albumin.
Albumin, very good. So albumin is a simple protein. Why did you say a simple protein?
Ma'am, it has a linear simple structure and it's not attached with any other group.
Yes, the only reason it's not linear. Albumin is a globular protein. ये बात हमेशा याद रखिए कि जो भी प्रोटीन बॉडी में स्ट्रक्चर नहीं बना रहा, स्ट्रक्चर मतलब आपका स्ट्रक्चरल कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं दे रहा, उसका अपना अपना फंक्शन है और वो ब्लड में फ्लो कर रहा है, वो हमेशा ग्लोबुलर रहेगा, क्योंकि जब वो छोटा हो जाएगा तो और albumin is a simple protein. It is made up of only amino acids and this is globular in nature. It's not long protein. Now another question we have. Any 2 examples of a globular protein? बोलिए.
इंसुलिन किस टाइप का प्रोटीन होता है? मैम इंसुलिन किस टाइप का प्रोटीन में आएगा?
इंसुलिन एक ऐसा प्रोटीन है जो कि इनिशियली सिंथेसाइज होता है एक सी पेप्टाइड के साथ, जिसमें डाइसल्फाइड बॉन्ड्स भी होते हैं। बेसिकली वो जाता है टर्शरी लेवल के ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, और उसके ऊपर थोड़े थोड़े कार्बोहाइड्रेट रेसिड्यूज भी होते हैं। ठीक है, तो हम उसे, हाँ
मैम इंसुलिन क्वार्टरनी नहीं होता है, जैसे ए अलग पेप्टाइड हो गया, बी अलग पेप्टाइड?
नहीं नहीं नहीं, इंसुलिन क्वार्टरनरी इसलिए नहीं होता कि हम कहते तो ये है कि हमारे पास एक ए है चेन, एक बी है चेन, लेकिन अगर आप उसकी सिंथेसिस के प्रोसेस को देखें तो वो एक सिंगल पॉलीपेप्टाइड की तरह बनता है। फिर उसकी क्लीवेज होती है, वो कट जाता है बीच में से। जब वो कट जाता है तो जो रेस्ट ऑफ द पॉलीपेप्टाइड्स वो निकल जाते हैं, फिर वो ज्वाइन हो जाता है और फोल्ड हो जाता है। तो वो प्रोटीन जो कि बनता ही अलग अलग, जैसे हीमोग्लोबिन की अगर हम बात करें तो हीमोग्लोबिन अगर आप जीन्स को स्टडी करेंगे ना तो एक अल्फा लोसाई होगा, एक बीटा के लिए अलग से जीन होगी। अल्फा प्रोटीन अलग बन के आएगा, बीटा प्रोटीन अलग बन के आएगा, उनकी प्रोसेसिंग होगी अलग से, फिर वो ज्वाइन हो जाएंगे फंक्शनैलिटी के लिए। जबकि इंसुलिन का क्या होता है कि इंसुलिन एक प्रो इंसुलिन बनता है बहुत बड़ा सा, फिर वो प्रो इंसुलिन बनता है, फिर वो फंक्शनल इंसुलिन बनता है जिससे सी पेप्टाइड निकलता है। तो वो रहा तो एक ही, इसलिए। यस और नो?
यस मैम।
सो कोई बताएगा 2 एग्जाम्पल ग्लोबुलर प्रोटीन के?
Albumin and keratin.
अच्छा बच्चे, अब मुझे एक बात ये बताओ कि केराटिन क्या हमारा कैसा प्रोटीन है, स्ट्रक्चरल या फंक्शनल?
Structural.
है ना? तो हमें ये बात को ध्यान रखना होगा कि अगर हम स्ट्रक्चरल प्रोटीन की बात करेंगे तो स्ट्रक्चरल प्रोटीन ज्यादातर फाइब्रस होते हैं। ठीक है, तो केराटिन एक फाइब्रस प्रोटीन है, एल्ब्यूमिन ग्लोबुलर है, हीमोग्लोबिन ग्लोबुलर है, किसी भी एंजाइम का नाम ले लीजिए, ज्यादातर वो ग्लोबुलर है। ठीक है, फाइब्रस में क्या होगा, वो स्ट्रक्चर्स जो एक्सटेंडेड हों, जो आपका स्ट्रक्चर बना रहे हो, सेल का स्ट्रक्चर बना रहे हो, कहीं एक्स्ट्रा सेल्यूलर मेम्ब्रेन में कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हो, या कार्टिलेजिनस प्रोटीन हो तो इलास्टिन फाइब्रस हो गया, कोलेजन फाइब्रस हो गया, केराटिन फाइब्रस हो गया। तो ये सारे प्रोटीन्स जो हैं वो फाइब्रस होते हैं। अब दूसरा क्वेश्चन, व्हाट आर द 4 लेवल्स ऑफ प्रोटीन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन? अब कोई और बताए? ऐसे पूछते हैं क्वेश्चंस छोटे छोटे, इसलिए जस्ट फॉर योर रिवीजन। व्हाट आर द 4 लेवल्स ऑफ प्रोटीन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन?
Primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary.
जी, तो हमारे पास 4 लेवल्स आ गए, प्राइमरी, सेकेंडरी, टर्शरी एंड क्वार्टरनरी। Then what are the structures that are associated with the secondary protein organization? अब अगर ये क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं कि what are the structures that are associated with the secondary protein organization, then what we have to name? We have to name alpha helix, beta pleated sheets, and beta bends or beta turns. So these are the 3 structures that are associated with the secondary protein organization. Now this is a name of a peptide that is written glutamyl cystinyl glycine. The question is the red one, glutamyl cystinyl glycine, same as glycyl cystinyl glutamine? Compare the two, the red and the blue. Are they same?
No.
No.
No मैम।
Same. They are different polypeptides. Even if you replace just one amino acid or add one amino acid or change the position of any one amino acid, the protein is completely going to change. And if that protein is going to happen to an enzyme, there may be a possibility that you may lose the functionality of an enzyme. So we have to be, this is very important for a protein, that the sequence of amino acids should be written exactly as it is, and it has to be read from N to C terminus. Why? Because this is something that is coming from our genetic code. This is not same for carbohydrates and lipids. Even if you replace any carbohydrate residue and change its position There are situations where nothing may happen, because that is a macromolecule that is not deciphered from our code. But these are the components of a macromolecule that are coming from our genetic code. So they have to be written in the same way as they are synthesized. They have to be read always from N to C terminus. Now, this is usually a question that is asked of 2 to 3 marks. Name any 3 biologically active peptides. So there is a whole long list of these components, but we can remember just 3, 4. तो अभी जो हमने पढ़े थे उसमें से कोई याद है? 3 biologically active.
Oxytocin, antidiuretic hormone, enkephalins.
अरे वाह, बहुत अच्छा, very good. Now another question is, draw the structure of a peptide made up of glycine and alanine. अच्छा, अब अगर इस तरह का क्वेश्चन आता है कि draw the structure of a peptide made up of glycine and alanine, तो यहाँ पर glycine is made up, has an R group of hydrogen atom, alanine has CH3. Now the question may also have, may be twisted in a way that draws structure of a peptide made up of tryptophan and lysine. अब दिमाग में क्या आएगा कि भैया tryptophan और lysine कैसे बनाए, हमें तो आता नहीं. तो क्या पूछ क्या रहे हैं? They are asking draw the structure of a peptide, just a peptide. So even if it is glycine or alanine, or even if it is tyrosine or tryptophan or lysine or histidine, we have nothing to do with the R group. You can just name R1, R2, name it as glycine, alanine or histidine or whatever is being asked. What is important is to form a peptide bond. So peptide bond would be formed between C double bond O of the incoming amino acid, first one, and the NH of the second incoming amino acid. So this would be C double bond O NH. Now what you need to indicate here is that do remember that it is always a trans bond. Peptide bond is the whole complete C double bond O NH, the whole thing. This is a peptide bond. And then another thing is that they want to ask about its properties. So what were the properties? It's a trans bond. It is planar in structure. It is partially double bonded. Then what else? Anything else? और कोई प्रॉपर्टी है पेप्टाइड बॉन्ड की? ट्रांस हो गया,
Condensation bond.
कौन सा बॉन्ड?
Formed by removal of water.
Formed by removal of water. And the important thing is that it's a rigid. Rotation around a peptide bond is not possible. Leaving the peptide bonds, rest of the bonds, they are known as Ramachandran's bonds or angles. They define how your protein is going to be twisted. अब दूसरा क्वेश्चन है कि 2 डिफरेंसेस बताइए अल्फा हेलिक्स और बीटा प्लेटेड शीट के बीच में. एनी 2 डिफरेंसेस?
Alpha helix is only intramolecular and beta plated is intra and inter both.
Both ways, okay. और कोई डिफरेंस?
Alpha helix regular, beta helix.
बीटा प्लेटेड शीट?
अल्फा हेलिक्स में हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग एक ही चैन के बिटवीन, मतलब एक ही चैन में, और बीटा में 2 चैन होता है, और अल्फा में अलोंग एक्सिस, मतलब वो लेंथ के अलोंग हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग होता है, बीटा में परपेंडिकुलर टू.
वेरी गुड. तो बस ये 2 डिफरेंसेस हमको बेसिकली याद रखने हैं. नाउ व्हाट आर द बॉन्ड, ये बहुत पूछते हैं, व्हाट आर द बॉन्ड्स दैट स्टेबलाइज द सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ अ प्रोटीन? नाउ द ओनली हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड. अब क्या लिखेंगे हम इसका आंसर? हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड. आधा नंबर काट लेगा एग्जामिनर. What the examiner is expecting you is that write down hydrogen bond contributed by the peptide bond, because hydrogen bond is also there in the tertiary structure, if you remember. So हम क्या लिखेंगे? हम पूरी बात बता देंगे उनको कि this is the hydrogen bond and the hydrogen bond is coming from the peptide bond. CONH वाला जो bond बनेगा, that is the bond that is stabilizing the secondary structure. Now name the bonds that stabilize the tertiary structure of a protein. So here we will name all the 4. Hydrogen bond coming from the R group, ionic interaction from the R group, and all the hydrophobic interactions and all these bonds. Any possible bond formation that you can think of that would be contributed by the R group is going to stabilize your tertiary structure of a protein. Now name a protein functional at tertiary and one that is functional at a quaternary level. Name one protein जो कि tertiary level पे functional हो जाता है और आगे जाएगा
Myosin.
Myoglobin at tertiary and hemoglobin at quaternary.
वेरी गुड। तो मायोग्लोबिन जो है वो टर्शरी पे हो जाएगा, एल्ब्यूमिन टर्शरी पे हो जाएगा और हीमोग्लोबिन जो है वो क्वाटरनरी पे जाएगा। और एक और एग्जांपल हमने दिया था, वहां पर लिखा हुआ था पोटेशियम चैनल्स का। सो दे आर आल्सो प्रोटीन्स एंड दे गो अप टू द क्वाटरनरी लेवल। अब एक लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन प्रोटीन वाले पार्ट से पूछते हैं, व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ऑफ अ प्रोटीन। सो वी विल नेम ऑल द 4 ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, वी विल क्लासिफाई देम एंड एक्सप्लेन ईच विद द हेल्प ऑफ अ डायग्राम। So you need to make a very clear diagram. अब जब ऐसे questions पूछे जाते हैं ना, तो आप इसको आंसर करने का तरीका ये होता है कि आप ऊपर से डिफाइन करिए कि प्रोटीन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के 4 लेवल्स होते हैं। Name all the 4 levels. Then your diagram should be clear. Even nobody expects you to write the whole paragraphs of answers. Draw one diagram, write it in points. This is, say for example, alpha helix. Alpha helix is a twisted spiral structure. The bond stabilizing is a hydrogen bond coming from the peptide bond. The number of amino acid residues 3.6 per turn. This way you have to write it in points. So that will fetch you more points or more scores rather than answering it in paragraphs. I think this is all for today. I've left some time so that if you want something to be discussed, we can go for it. आज वाले टॉपिक से या पिछले कोई भी उसे बताइए।
Ma'am, where you have taught the beta plated structure, there you have given the example of carbonic anhydrase enzyme. But carbonic anhydrase is an enzyme, and enzyme is functional in its 3D state, that is what is a tertiary state. So how come carbonic anhydrase is present in its secondary stage, that is the beta plated stage? In your slide, it was written there at the bottom.
नहीं, देखिए कार्बोनिक एनहाइड्रेज जो हमने एग्जाम्पल दिया है सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर का कि उसमें बीटा प्लेटेड शीट है, उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर पे जाकर के रुक गया। ये वो प्रोटीन है जिसमें के बीटा प्लेटेड शीट्स दोनों तरह की प्रेजेंट होंगी, पैरेलल भी होती हैं, एंटी पैरेलल भी होती हैं। उसके बाद कार्बोनिक एनहाइड्रेज आगे फोल्ड होगा। ये वो एग्जाम्पल है जिसमें के दोनों तरह के स्ट्रक्चर्स मौजूद हैं। ये कहने का मतलब है, ये कहने का मतलब नहीं है कि अब ये सेकेंडरी पे स्टॉप हो गया, ये मतलब नहीं है। ज्यादातर प्रोटीन्स टर्शरी स्ट्रक्चर पे जाती ही हैं। जो सेकेंडरी का अक्यूमुलेशन होता है अल्फा अल्फा बीटा बीटा, वो उसके डोमेन्स बनाने में हेल्प करता है। वो डोमेन वो पार्ट होता है तो प्रोटीन की वो साइट होती है जो उसे फंक्शनैलिटी देती है। जैसे एंजाइम की एक्टिव साइट है, वो एक स्पेसिफिक डोमेन होगा उसका जो उसे एक्टिविटी प्रोवाइड कर रहा है। लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर कोई सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर है तो टर्शरी पे वो तो जाएगी, उसके पास अगर एक भी पॉलीपेप्टाइड है तो वो टर्शरी फोल्डिंग पे जाएगा। तो कहने का मतलब ये था कि ये वो एग्जाम्पल है जिसमें दोनों तरह के सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर्स प्रेजेंट है, ये मतलब है। ऐसा नहीं कि वो स्टॉप रहेगा।
थैंक यू।
बीटा बैंड बता दीजिए एक बार और।
जी
बैंड बता दीजिए, बीटा बैंड।
क्या मुझे आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी?
बीटा बैंड स्ट्रक्चर बता दीजिए एक बार और।
अच्छा, बीटा बैंड बता दें। बीटा बैंड देखिए, पहली चीज तो ये कि बीटा बैंड भी सेकेंडरी होता है। तो जब हम ये कह रहे हैं कि सेकेंडरी होता है तो वो एक ट्विस्टेड स्ट्रक्चर है, और बीटा बैंड का मकसद सिर्फ इतना होता है कि वो ज्यादातर 2 एंटी पैरेलल बीटा प्लेटेड शीट्स को ऊपर से ज्वाइन करता है और उन्हें कनेक्ट कर देता है। बीटा बैंड सिर्फ 4 अमीनो एसिड्स से बनता है, जिसमें डोमिनेंट अमीनो एसिड्स ग्लाइसिन और प्रोलीन होते हैं, क्योंकि ये बेंडिंग क्रिएट कर देते हैं। प्रोलीन एक बहुत डिफरेंट सा टाइप ऑफ अमीनो एसिड होता है। तो ये ग्लाइसिन, क्योंकि ग्लाइसिन बहुत छोटा होता है तो वो जो हिंड्रेंसेस स्टेट होती है उनको मिनिमाइज कर देता है, वो मुड़ जाता है। और प्रोलीन एक डिफरेंट सा अमीनो एसिड है तो वो भी ट्विस्टिंग में हेल्प करता है। तो बेंड्स एक इस तरह के सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं जो ज्यादातर 2 एंटी पैरेलल बीटा प्लेटेड शीट्स को ज्वाइन करते हैं। They are made up of just 4 amino acids. The dominant one is glycine and proline, and they are also twisting through along with the hydrogen bonds. तो हाइड्रोजन बॉन्ड एक आध का ही कंट्रीब्यूशन आता है, बहुत ज्यादा हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग हो नहीं सकती क्योंकि सिर्फ 4 ही अमीनो एसिड होंगे। तो पहला जो है वो चौथे से फोल्ड होके इंटरैक्ट कर जाएगा या फिर वो किसी और पॉलीपेप्टाइड से इंटरैक्ट करेगा। बेसिक फंक्शन सिर्फ इनका इतना होता है कि दो पॉलीपेप्टाइड्स को एक टर्न की तरह से ज्वाइन कर देते हैं। ये उस तरीके से समझ लीजिए जैसे कि हम दो पाइप्स को कनेक्ट करने के लिए कनेक्टिंग छोटा सा प्लास्टिक का कनेक्टर यूज करते हैं, जिससे कि वो पाइप या तो एक्सटेंड हो जाएगा या वो कनेक्ट होकर फोल्ड हो जाएगा। ये उस तरीके का कनेक्टर मॉलिक्यूल है। और
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, can the one difference between alpha helix structure and beta pleated structure can be that there's absence of beta bands in alpha helix?
Yeah, we can write it because there is no contribution. There may be, see, there is no protein which is only made up of alpha helix. Neither is there any protein that is only made up of beta pleated sheets. We have a combination because when a secondary structure is formed, it has to go to a super secondary structure in a larger proteins. Then it has to move to the folds. So there may be a situation that number of beta pleated sheets are there. There may be a number situation where one may be alpha, beta, alpha. There may be beta, alpha, beta. So interaction is possible between the bend and one beta and alpha linking together. But most of the time, in 90% of cases, the function of a beta bend is to link up anti-parallel sheets. So that is why we usually do not talk of that beta bends are not there in the alpha helix. Definitely they are not there, but only till the stage if it is present as a separate alpha helix. But you are not going to find out any protein which is 100% alpha helix. That is the reason we don't quote it. क्योंकि हर प्रोटीन में बहुत सारे स्ट्रक्चर्स होते हैं, तभी वो फंक्शनल हो पाता है। अगर वो प्रोटीन है, पेप्टाइड की बात नहीं कर रहे, अगर वो प्रोटीन, ठीक है, जो हमने कहा ना मोटिव बनाएगा, जब वो मोटिव बनाएगा तो बहुत सारे सेकेंडरी स्ट्रक्चर्स का एग्रीगेशन होगा, और जब एग्रीगेशन होगा तो इंटरेक्शन होगा।
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, example of intermediate proteins.
Example of intermediate proteins. See, when we talk of extracellular proteins, most of the extracellular proteins, they start forming different aggregates of proteins. So we cannot talk of just one protein that is of intermediate. They combine to form intermediate proteins, and that's why it's better to classify protein in terms of its structural category as fibrous and globular. Because when two fibrous or one globular protein, they interact at the level of your extracellular membrane proteins and say for example your glomerular membrane proteins, then they form intermediate proteins. तो अभी हम जो है ना बेहतर ये होगा कि हम उसे फाइब्रस और ग्लोबुलरी क्लासिफाई करें, क्योंकि वो बहुत हायर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जिससे अभी हमें नहीं डिस्कस करना।
Thank you, ma'am.
और कोई क्वेश्चन तो नहीं है? जो पहले पढ़ा था क्योंकि थोड़ा गैप हो गया तो एक फ्लो नहीं बन पाया। तो अभी तक जो हमने डिस्कस किया that was about the structure and function of carbohydrate and structure and function of a protein. Now tomorrow you are going to have your class at 8 o'clock. It starts in the about the structure and lipids. Hopefully. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
मैम कार्बोहाइड्रेट वाला पार्ट खत्म हो गया पूरा, अभी तो आई थिंक शायद हैंड आउट में मैंने जब लिपिड कोट में देखा था तो उसमें काफी सारा है।
हाँ बेटा, ये देखिए एक चीज का ध्यान रखिए, जब हम कार्बोहाइड्रेट प्रोटीन या लिपिड पढ़ रहे हैं ना, तो हम अभी सिर्फ उसके स्ट्रक्चर की बात करके छोड़ दे रहे हैं, ठीक है। इसी तरह से हमने प्रोटीन के सिर्फ स्ट्रक्चर की बात करके छोड़ दी। अभी तो बहुत कुछ है, बहुत सारा कुछ है, बल्कि जब जो नेक्स्ट टीचर जब आपका मेटाबॉलिज्म स्टार्ट हो जाएगा तो मेटाबॉलिज्म इनिशिएट करने से पहले ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हम उसके स्ट्रक्चर्स को एक दफा ध्यान में कर लें, वरना मेटाबॉलिज्म नहीं समझ आएगा। तो इसी तरह से जब ये एंजाइम पार्ट खत्म हो जाएगा तब आपका कार्बोहाइड्रेट मेटाबॉलिज्म शुरू होगा, तब उसमें आपको यू विल go through all the metabolic steps. Then you will discuss about different carbohydrates, how they are metabolized again. Then you will end up when you at the level of different metabolic disorders. उसमें डायबिटीज भी आएगी, उसमें कुछ ऑटो इम्यून डिसऑर्डर्स भी पढ़ाए जाएंगे, उसमें गैलेक्टोसूरिया भी पढ़ाया जाएगा, फ्रक्टोसूरिया भी पढ़ाया जाएगा। तो अभी तक हम सिर्फ उनके एक आउटलाइन ब्रश अप स्ट्रक्चर्स का देख रहे हैं कि ये क्या है जिसका हमें मेटाबॉलिक डिजीजेस पढ़नी है, जिसका मेटाबॉलिज्म पढ़ना है। तो लिपिनकॉट में जो कुछ दिया है वो सही है, वो सब कुछ पढ़ना है, लेकिन ये एक सेट ऑफ टीचिंग है जिसमें हम स्ट्रक्चर्स पढ़ेंगे, और जब हमारे लिपिड्स का भी स्ट्रक्चर कंप्लीट हो जाएगा तो हम सारी एंजाइमोलॉजी डिस्कस करेंगे, तब हम मेटाबॉलिज्म पे मूव करेंगे। ठीक है, तो वो